Hey folks, Steve here for another Fat Ninja Studios list video. With Avengers Endgame just looming over the horizon, we here at Fat Ninja have been going Marvel crazy and are marathoning all previous 21 films. While watching them, we noticed some iconic scenes in the films were identical to famous panels from the comic books the stories are based on. With that said, possible spoilers ahead. Here are 12 moments in the MCU ripped straight from the comics. Number 12. Loki sits on the Asgardian throne. Our first entry is also a classic one. Loki on the throne. From the pose to the amazing costume and set design is almost a direct copy of the panel itself brought to life. Tom Hiddleston really chews up the scene as well, shifting his tone from creature of mischief to a much more power-resonating godlike presence. Lording himself over Thor, commanding the guard, and taking rule over Asgard, it was an epic moment in the Marvel timeline. Number 11. Winter Soldier. Who the hell is Bucky? Captain America just can't seem to escape his past, even when he's 75 plus years removed from it. That moment during Winter Soldier, when Cap chases down the titular villain character and manages to break off his mask, he quizzically asks, "Bucky?" Right before the Winter Soldier turns around, glares him down, and grunts in reply, "Who the hell is Bucky?" Ripped straight from Ed Brubaker's Captain America the Winter Soldier, it was one of the major highlights of one of the best MCU films to date. Number 10. Hawkeye fires Ant-Man on an arrow. On the cover of Avengers number 223, illustrated by Klaus Janson, we see Hawkeye getting ready to fire off an arrow with Ant-Man tightly gripping the arrowhead. Where else have you seen this, you ask? Captain America Civil War, of course. In one of the greatest action scenes in that film, we watch Ant-Man get shot from via a trick arrow at Iron Man, before using his diminutive size to sneak inside Tony's suit and disable some of its systems. I guess size really does matter. Number 9. Spider-Man fights Avengers masked criminals. 2017 Spider-Man Homecoming was an absolute delight, and genuinely good return to form for the friendly neighborhood webhead. However, one scene in particular, early on in the film, we watch as Peter patrols the neighborhoods and comes across a group of criminals donning Avengers masks as they try to rob a bank. This scene was taken straight from Ultimate Spider-Man number 42 by Brian Michael Bendis and Mark Thiebert, which happened to be a favorite of director John Watts. In it, much like the film, Spider-Man comes across a group of criminals wearing the masks and fires a few quips of his own before webbing them up and saving the day. Number 8. Ebony Maw tortures Doctor Strange. As much as I loved Infinity War, I did wish we could have seen more of the Black Order. With that said, I had to include one of their scenes on this list, and that is when Ebony Maw tortures Doctor Strange. While not a direct recreation of the panels from New Avengers number 9, it is still worthy of a mention on this list, as it evokes a nostalgic feeling of dread when the Sorcerer Supreme had been bested by Thanos' own mighty wizard. Number 7. Searcher destroys Asgard. We here at Fat Ninja love Thor Ragnarok. Breathing fresh life into the Thor mythos, it was certainly a welcome entry, and while we all rooted for our heroes to win and defeat the evil, not to mention an epic clash between Hulk and Searcher would have been mind-blowing, it was not to be. Instead, we got something more jaw-dropping. Watching Searcher destroy Asgard itself. Again, not a direct recreation from Walter Simonson's run in the 1980s of the Ragnarok storyline, it was certainly one of the most heartbreaking and epic scenes in the Thor trilogy. Number 6. Spider-Man lifts himself out of the rubble. Back in 1965, Stan Lee and Steve Ditko collaborated on a little story called If This Be My Destiny, where Spider-Man is exhausted after an extensive battle with Dr. Octopus and finds himself trapped under a massive pile of rubble. Flash forward to 2017's Spider-Man Homecoming, and while there's no Doc Ock in sight, yet That particular panel made it right onto our screens. It's incredibly emotional as well, as Peter basically has a panic attack and for a fraction of a second loses hope in himself. But with great power comes great responsibility, and he finds a way to summon the strength he needs to lift himself back up and put a stop to the Vulture. Number 5. Gladiator Hulk enters the arena. The first time this moment was shown in one of the trailers for Thor Ragnarok, people jumped and cheered, and we were genuinely excited to see the Hulk again. After all, he disappeared at the end of Age of Ultron, and nothing had been heard of since. Then, we see what he's wearing, a full set of Gladiator armor, and the collective Marvel fanbase gasped. Planet Hulk? It was really more like shouting. A downright faithful recreation of the way it looked in the storyline penned by Greg Pak. It was a delight to see, and a rematch well anticipated, even if the Grandmaster did kinda cheat. Number 4. Captain America deflecting Iron Man's blast. A lot of the Civil War comic book story arc had to unfortunately be left out of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. If you've read it, you know that it shook the entire Earth-based heroes, and many of those characters have not yet arrived on screen. With that said, however, during the fight between Tony and Steve near the end of the film, there was a moment that came straight off one of the pages. Beating each other down, Iron Man charges up his hand blasters and fires off a massively powered beam at Cap, who blocks it using his shield. Filmed in gorgeous spectacle and slow motion, it truly brings the cover artwork from the final issue of Civil War by Steve McNiven and Dexter Vines to life, and remains one of the most gasp-worthy moments in the MCU history. Number 3. Hulk crashes into the Sanctum, declaring Thanos is coming. Okay, this one is a little different from the comics, but it deserves a spot on the list nonetheless. In the comics, it's actually the Silver Surfer who crashes through the roof of the Sanctum to warn Doctor Strange about the imminent arrival of Thanos. While the scene in the film echoes this visually, it is the Hulk in mid-transformation who suddenly arrives. After Thanos lay out the Hulk with a 3-hit combo and not even breaking a sweat, the look on Bruce Banner's face says it all, even when he utters the words, "Thanos is coming." Number 2. Thanos kills the Vision. There's a lot of deaths in Infinity War, and I'm not talking about the snap itself, yet. From the get-go, we watch Thanos kill Heimdall and Loki before destroying Thor's ship and killing everyone on board besides him. Near the end of the film, though, an especially tear-jerking moment was having to watch Scarlet Witch kill her lover, Vision, to stop Thanos from getting his hands on the Mind Stone. And then Thanos just reverses time and takes it for himself. The brutal nature of the kill is especially harrowing, and harkens back to a panel in 1991's Infinity Gauntlet number 4, where Thanos rips the circuits out of the chest of Vision, turning him white and effectively killing him. Poor Wanda. Thanos is such a jerk. Number 1. The Snap and the Farm. You knew it was coming. For the number 1 spot on our list, we had to, of course, bring up the Snap. Before Avengers Infinity War hit theaters, there was speculation if the Snap would actually happen in the first film, or be reversed for the sequel to lead into Phase 4. Well, we got our answer, and then some, at the end of the film, with one of the most quoted lines of the film being delivered right before "You should have gone for the head." The look of shock on Thor's face just as the snap goes off, taking us to the Soul World and showing us a young Gamora who asks, "What did it cost?" Thanos sadly replies, "Everything." And then we flash back to current reality, just to watch half of all life in the universe begin to turn into dust. To top it all off, the final shot of the film is an epically faithful recreation of the final pages from the Infinity Gauntlet number 6, with a pleased Mad Titan sitting upon his porch and admiring his farm, a job well done, and a universe changed forever. Well, that was our list. What'd you guys think? Any we missed that you think should have been on here? Let us know in the comments, and if you liked the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Remember, Avengers Endgame hits theaters on April 26th, like we had to remind you. And be sure to come back and see our special full review after we go see it ourselves. This has been Steve. Here's hoping the snap can be undone.